This is my BMW E36 3 Series Sedan, which I'm rebuilding, and hopefully everything will go according to plan. This one is hiding the most massive engine ever built by Germans, which is a 320i 6-cylinder, which we do not know the history of the engine, if it has been serviced recently or it has 10 years never been serviced. That's why I've decided that I'm going to start with the most important part of the dream rebuild, which is the maintenance. I have not only changed the brakes with brand new brakes and painting them, but I have removed a lot of rust and cleaned the gearbox while fitting in a new release bearing. What I've also done on this car is that I have rebended the grille front of this car, because before it was bad. It's not actually 100% because you can see there's a gap over here. There's a gap, and over here it shows that I try to rebend it too much. What I'm doing is so ghetto and so sketchy. Don't try this at home. On the side we are on the rim, like literally on the rim, but on the other side I didn't measure correctly. We are not on the rim.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Now I'm going to pour engine flush before I drain the oil. Just gonna pour half of it. This will ensure that all the oil are removed from the engine. After that, I'm going to let the car run at least 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, the oil is ready to be drained. Since the car is up on the rims, we need to put the car on gear. On gear, handbrake up, and some brakes on this side, just to secure the car so that it won't move. And on this side, now we are secured. We know the car won't fall on us when we are under it. There are a couple of places where we have oil leak. This boot is torn, so it needs a new boot. This one is fine, but if I'm replacing this one also must be replaced. Over there on the gearbox, I've cleaned the gearbox on the previous video, but the gearbox is now dirty because of the sump, because I think the sump is leaking over here. I think over here the sump needs to be taken out and then be resealed again so that it won't leak. Now I'm going to be draining the oil and ignoring the sump leak, but it will be repaired in the near future. I'm also going to be cleaning the engine bay. I'm going to be removing the coil plugs and covering all the electrical components.
Stop in this frame, cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to.
After disconnecting the battery, I'm going to remove the coil packs, but first I need to write their numbers down, because if I don't do this, I'm going to forget which one goes where, and I'm just doing it for peace of mind.
I'm here to play and I've got something to say, yeah.
If you're enjoying the video, you're liking the process of the BMW, please give the video a like and consider subscribing if you're new to the channel.
Know I push play, I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits.
Well, the good thing is that over here they've written 3, 2, 1. So now you know this one is 1, this one is 2, this one is 3. Well, we are having good news and bad news. And the good news is that the coil packs are out and the engine is 80%, no, it's 50%, and the engine is 50% ready to be cleaned. But the bad news is the 5 and 6 cylinders have a certain issue. The 5th cylinder has a lot of oil, and you can see that it's covering the spark plug. The cause of this is this seal. It is blown and needs to be replaced. 6th cylinder is the worst because it has water and oil, and we also cannot even see the plug. Well, that was part of the bad news, and I was a little bit scared because I thought maybe the car has had mixed oil and water, but I just remembered that I just drained the oil and the oil looked okay, because if you can check the bucket, it's just oil alone. It's not oil mixed with water. With a big relief, I can finally continue cleaning the engine bay and focusing on servicing the car. I'm going to be removing the air filter to have more access on the engine bay. There are hidden treasures in this engine because I just found this somewhere there. You can see how dirty it is down there. I found this down there, and I also found this. I don't think it is working because you can see it is an old one. But I think the engine is now prepared and ready to get cleaned. I have covered the fuse box, even though it has a cover of its own, so I'm just covering it just in case, so I have a peace of mind. And it looks like it is, to my knowledge, I think it is ready. I never cleaned a BMW, so I know BMWs in terms of electrical stuff, you must be very, very careful. So I'm going to try to cover this also because I just want to be careful. And yeah, I'm just going to clean it and hopefully be better than the way it is. I'm going to start by removing the loose dust with a brush before I clean the engine bay with some soapy water. I'm doing this with a brush so that I can avoid creating any mud. And I have to say that the engine bay is starting to look much better. If I can give myself time to clean the engine once a week, I think the engine bay will look marvelous. I'm still gonna keep on cleaning it until I'm 100% satisfied. Now that the engine bay is 80% clean, I'm going to remove the oil filter and replace it with a new oil filter. Well, I've run into a money related problem. I bought a 320i service kit and it came with an oil filter, and this oil filter does not fit because it is too tall and the cap is too short. You can see there's a gap right there, so I'll need to go and buy a 318 oil filter. That cap is for the 318i BMWs, and I think they swapped the engine but they didn't have the cap, so they used the old cap. That means I need to change the filter and buy another filter because this filter won't fit because it's too long. 167 rand later. Midas is muy expensive. Yeah. We finally got the new one in, which was expensive. I'm complaining. This is the oil that I'll be using, that I'll be pouring in the engine, but this is the oil that I'm going to be using for the oil filter. If you haven't watched the Golf Mark 1 engine rebuild, go check it out. I'll put it up here because I use this oil and I still have a bit left, so I'm going to use it to fill up the oil filter. Not really fill it up, but just pour a little bit. After refitting the drain plug on the sump, it is time to top up the engine with 10W40 engine oil, which I have realized that 5 liter will not be enough for this 6-cylinder engine, and I'll have to buy another 5 liter just to top it up. In the recommended owner's handbook, I realized that the oil should not be too low or too high. So at this point, our oil is not too low but not too high, but not what they recommend, because it should be at least at the middle. So I'll need to top up the engine with oil a little bit more, but for now I want to fit the spark plugs. But I just remembered that I have an issue. There is a lot of oil in the spark plug holes, so we need to remove the oil before we fit new spark plugs. I came up with a plan and it worked. I didn't think it would work. I just want to give it a go to see if it will actually work. The plan is to use the hoover to suck all of the oil out of the plug holes. What I did is that I connected a small pipe with the hoover so that I'll be able to get inside and remove all of the oil in the cylinder holes. There is a little bit of water in there because somehow my pipe is too big. It doesn't want to go inside there, but you can actually see the plug. Before we didn't see the plug, and on this side is the same thing. We can see the plug, but the plug is blocking the pipe to go even deeper. So, and when I'm trying to force the pipe to go deeper, it pinches the pipe, so the pipe won't be able to drain the water. So I'm going to come up with another plan to try to get that water out. So I'm still using the pipe. You can hear that it is draining some of the oil in there. I had no other plan but to use the hoover, and the hoover started working perfectly, so I keep on going until I removed all of the oil and water out of the spark plug holes. Well, I think now it is 100% better than the way it was, because there is no oil in the plugs, there's no water in the plugs, it is just the plugs in the plug holes. Let me show you. You can see this one had a lot of oil, but in there is just the plug and some little bit of oil, but I cannot drain that. It is too small to be drained. So in here we had an amount of water, a great amount of water, but it doesn't want to focus. We had a great amount of water in there, but now it's just the plug. So we have this nut over here. Look at that, I can remove it by hand. That's the reason why this car has a lot of oil leak. But I think the day we're going to paint the whole car, I think I'll be able to take the engine out and make sure that the engine has no leak anymore. Make sure that the engine is 100%, so that when it goes back on the car, everything will be extremely neat. Now I'm going to tighten that loose bolt, even though I know it won't fix the oil leak, but I'm just doing it because it was too loose. Then remove the old spark plugs and fit the new spark plugs. After that, I'm going to clean the engine bay for the last time. If you're still watching the video until this point, please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button if you haven't hit those buttons before you forget. After removing the old spark plugs, I cleaned the spark plug holes before I reinstalled the new spark plugs. And since this is a 6-cylinder, I'm going to do it 6 times. After installing the new spark plugs, the coil packs are next, and the good thing is that I written them down so I don't forget which one goes where. Now I'm going to tighten the coil packs and then plug them back and move on to the next thing. Because I'm not a mechanic, I'm not an expert, I write everything down so that I do not forget which part goes where, and it gives me confidence when I reinstall everything. I recently painted the visible part of the valve cover silver, and I don't think I like it. I'm thinking of painting it black, and we will see how it will look. After cleaning all the engine covers, it's time to put them back on the engine. And I have to admit that the engine covers make the engine bay 10 times better. Then goes in the air filter holder or cover. Well, I cannot lie and say this air filter looks bad, because it actually looks great. I cannot lie. It looks fair. It looks like the car wasn't that much wasn't that long since they have been serviced. So, well, that's good to know. After installing a new air filter, I'm going to tighten the air filter box down, and then we're going to put everything that is left on the engine, such as the air sensor and whatever this is called. After years, the engine bay looking like this, it can finally have a breather and look like this. Even though the engine bay looks mint, we still have some covers that are missing, such as the cover that belongs here. We have 2 covers, the under cover and there's another cover on the top, and over there where the computer box is located, we have a cover that covers there, and we have a vent over here which we do not have, which is also missing. We have some covers that are missing over there, and I guess there are some covers that I do not know about that are also missing. But I gotta admit that the engine bay looks mint. This is the cover that I'm talking about. It belongs over here, and there's another cover that overlaps to the radiator cover. So I do not have that one. This is the only cover that is left that I'm going to install back, and it is dirty. I'm going to clean it as well, and I'm going to still try to find the cover for the computer box and the vent and the cover here and other things that are missing on the engine bay. I already made a mistake by fitting everything back without actually starting the car and seeing if it will actually start or if I made a mistake. But I hope, because it's just a maintenance, so I hope everything goes according to my plan. So now I'm preparing to start
Much later.
it is off the ramp and it almost broke the bumper, but I was able to remove the bumper from to the side so that it will be much better. Then I reallocated the bumper. The bumper is still not straight because the car has been in a front accident, and we're still going to deal with it. But for now, let's just appreciate the fact that the engine is 100% serviced and it is looking clean. Now the gearbox is serviced, the engine is serviced. The only thing that is left is the diff. We still need to do the diff, but I think I'm going to do that off camera one day, or maybe I might do it on another video. What I can actually say is that we have moved a little bit, even though it wasn't a major transformation or anything that has to do with the transformation of the car, but it actually make a difference when it comes to this car, because you cannot modify a car and then the engine is not proper. So with this one, I'm doing it different from the Golf, because with the Golf I started with the bodywork. Then with this one I started with the maintenance before anything else, and I think we are close to getting to that point where we're going to start changing this car, making it look mint. But before we actually start with modifying this car, I think the first thing that we need to focus on is the wiring, because at the rear there is no light that's working. The reverse light doesn't work, only the indicators work. There is no light at all at the back. At the front we only have this light, which is the one that looks like it doesn't work, but we only have one side that is working, the other side doesn't work. Still on debating if I should install this back on the car or I should leave it as it is, but I'm thinking of painting it black or painting it blue and then place it back where it belongs. I don't know, you guys can tell me if I should install it back or I should not install it back, or I should paint it, or I should just buy a new one and install a new one on. But for now I'm just gonna put it aside and leave it as it is and call it a day. I guess I'm going to end the video here. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you like the video. I guess I'll see you on the next one. Peace.